out of 333 posted members at this time, so we have a good quorum, and I want to tell you personally, thank you very much for coming. Before we go any further, I want to introduce a guest from the rec center. Phil, if you'd like to stand up, please. This is Phil Dupree. And he's the charter club specialist, so he's come to be with us today also. So with that, I would like to have the minutes, Shay.
Apology first. When I first started printing these minutes and stuff, I thought they were to be up for 30 days, like, you know, when we had a board meeting or whatever. So I do apologize that the April general meeting was only posted in the club for 30 days. So 4 days ago, I did reprint it when I found out that it's to be posted till the next general meeting. So for now on, the general meeting will be up there until the next general meeting. So, does anybody have any questions on that general meeting?
Do I hear a motion for approval on the minutes as they were posted, or does anybody like them read? Can I have a motion?
I make a motion.
Do I hear a second?
Judy Savage.
Motion made and seconded that we approve.
Who seconded?
Pat Roberts.
Okay.
That we approve the general meeting minutes from April the 8th. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed the same. Thank you. Motion carried. Treasurer's report, Char?
At this point, our current assets are the checking account with 18,000. This is as of June 30th because July isn't over. And the checking account has $18,087. In equipment savings, $39,211. Operating savings, $22,501. Then we have some undeposited funds which are considered inventory that's possibly up for sale. And our total assets are $90,425.
Anybody have any questions? Do I hear a motion that we accept the treasurer's report for June 30th?
I so move.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Debbie and Norma, thank you very much. Any other questions or discussions on the minutes? Or the treasurer's report? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed the same. Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, we're gonna go into the committee reports. And I failed to mention something when I started out this morning, and that is, we only have this room for an hour and a half this morning. We have another group coming in after us, and we're gonna have to keep the meeting moving along very quickly. So we're gonna make quick movements through this stuff. So I have committee reports listed here from the membership. Do you have anything to report, Kathleen?
Unless anyone has a question, we're good.
Okay. Education?
We're fabulous also. Everything's going really well. A lot of classes being offered and put on the board, so check it out. I do need some help though with Open Lab mentors or helpers or clay buddies. And I put the sign-up sheet on the bulletin board by the break table so that we can see it more easily and sign up, kind of like our old-fashioned way. So if you're available on a third Wednesday of a month from 9 to 11 and want to help somebody with glazing, please sign up. Thank you.
Thank you. Kilns, Teresa?
No, nothing new.
We're good? Blazes, is Carrie here this morning? Any problems? You guys are good. Gonna get out of here? I want to take a minute to thank very much the social committee. They've done an outstanding job this summer. We have one more day, tomorrow, another surprise day. We'll step back for a minute. Is Mary Ann Coates here? I didn't think she was. We do have a little piece of unfinished business from the last board meeting that we need to take care of. In the last board meeting, on July the 2nd, the board voted to raise the cost of clay based on the current cost, the shipping costs, the taxes, and all the things. And we had a very good discussion that day with members in the room and that kind of thing, but we voted to raise the cost of every bag of clay to $15. Currently, most of them are $13, I believe, and that will cover the sales tax, and that will cover the shipping and those kind of things. So the motion's already been made and carried by the board that we will raise the price, but we did not set an effective date. So I need a motion today. I would like to recommend that we make it effective August 1st, 2021. Do we hear a motion to that effect?
I move that we make it August
First,
2021.
to increase the cost of the clay per bag to $15 a bag?
Yes.
Yes.
Who is that?
It's Leslie Young.
Thank you. Thank you.
We can't see her. We
Yeah.
can't even. And Pat Roberts has seconded the motion.
Thank you.
So, motion been made and seconded that we do make the, price increase on the clay per bag to $15 effective August 1st, 2021. Any questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed the same. Thank you very much. Okay. With that, and again, I wanna tell all the committees, thank you very much for what you do. Every one of you are in here all the time making it happen. We got people behind the scenes like Shauna sending out emails. I mean, I couldn't possibly name everybody, but most everybody in this room gives back to this club very, very well, and I can't tell you enough, a big enough thank you, so, okay. The VP reports, Barb, do you have anything?
You just did mine.
I was gonna say all the committees.
No, I thank you all too. You all worked very hard and we appreciate it. We made a couple of purchases this month that were, more than just office supplies. We got name tags, the magnet, thank you, name tags. I ordered 100 of them. The price has gone up quite a bit, but for 100 tags, I went and picked up to save shipping and blah, blah, blah. Where it was $568.70 for the name tags. And, other than that, we had to get copy paper, ink. Man, is that expensive. And just some office supplies, so that's really all I have.
Are there any questions for Barb on purchases? Okay. How about you, Janet? Do you have anything?
Please make sure you only swipe once if you're not monitoring. Because I'm still trying to figure out how to get in there to change all those back to if you're not monitoring, so. And keep checking Sign Up Genius to sign up for monitoring. So,
All right.
other than that, we're okay.
Any questions for Janet? Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am.
I just have questions. The ink, is that, is that to make?
For the printers, yes.
What kind of printer is it?
HP, I think.
Cause HP has a deal where you pay, like we pay $5 a month, I think we can make 100 copies. And then we never have to buy ink, they just send it, cause it keeps track of the drips somehow.
I'm not sure 100 copies a month will do
Well,
it
you
for
can
us
do more.
with the education price.
I mean,
Okay,
you
well,
can do, and you
something
can
to
even
look
change
into.
it, look back and forth.
Okay, thank you, that's something to look into.
Okay, on the unfinished business on the agenda, I inadvertently wrote old business, but it's actually supposed to be unfinished business. And the purpose of this meeting today is a parliamentary procedure issue that we need to take off the table. And the situation was this: in April, when we had our meeting, we had a motion that tabled the conversation and the discussion regarding the monitor station because of all the things that were going on that was going to be presented the next day in a meeting here at the rec center. So it was tabled. What I'd like to do is I need a motion to move that we remove the tabled motion off of the table. Do I have a motion to that effect?
No. I move that the discussion for the remodel of the monitor station for the Sun City West Clay Club, I hereby move that the discussion for the remodel of the monitor station for the Sun City West Clay Club presented and tabled on April 8th, 2021 by the general membership remain an open discussion pending clarification with guidelines regarding IRS status.
Isn't that what you want? That's not what you asked for.
No, it's not, but wait a minute. The motion has been made and seconded that we leave it open. I'd like to have a discussion on that. If we leave it open, we cannot move forward with any plans right now. I've been instructed, or I've been asked by the rec center that we actually clear this motion off the table It's a simple closure of the motion. It does not end any conversation within our club regarding the monitor stations, if we move it off the table. If we leave it open, we cannot have any further discussions until we move it off the table. And that would probably be at another special meeting, or it will be in September. But it would have to be another meeting of the general membership like this one today. If we move it off the table today, and what I'm left on the tables for everybody to see is what can go forward on this, and that is that we can have discussions on the monitor stations when we have all the information. Because we have two monitor stations kind of in limbo here. One very nice one that was drawn up in 2020, and it's in the middle room. And then we have a proposed one that's a bit smaller, and we put the clay in behind fence. And we do not have any costs or any projections on the time, the cost to the club or to the rec centers for the second station. So I have nothing, in my opinion, to discuss, because we only have one to look at that point. We have two proposals. I think the total membership needs the opportunity to vote. Is it this one or is it this one? And that's where we're trying to get to, because we're also trying to get some things done as we move forward to get on the budget for 2023-24. If we stretch this much further out into the end of October, the 1st of November, we are not gonna be considered for it until 25-26 budget, because we won't have anything to present. My plan was, and what I had talked to the board about, was that as soon as we had this information from the rec center on the second proposal, that we share it all with everybody. We can do it in an open meeting, we can do it internet, we can do it whatever. And then at that point, we would also have a refresh conversation on the current one that's been proposed from 2020. Now, there is a tape still available from February that talked about that particular monitor station and the pros and cons. We still have all the things that were copied and posted. And then we would also have the cost of the second proposal. And then the membership can choose A, B, whatever it is. So, given that, are there any questions on what I've explained? Now, it appears to me, quite honestly, the rec center has brought up the fact that perhaps this club will have to pay for the monitor station, whichever one we do. Doesn't matter which one. It may not be put into capital monies. But in order for us to present by September 1st a capital project that doesn't, in my mind, includes that, and then take it before the other three committees that it has to go to. It has to go to the Charter Club Committee, it has to go before the Properties Committee, and then of course it goes before the Budget Committee. Is that not right, Nancy?
That's correct. If you don't get acting on this, you guys are sitting for another couple of years. It's really hard to get into the Properties Committee.
Yeah.
It just takes a long time. If you're not ready to go in September, every other club is. So us people on the Properties Committee, you're gonna be sitting here looking at this stuff for at least another year.
At least.
It's a long process, you guys, so.
So, therefore, and my commitment to the club and to this board is we will have an electronic vote run by the rec center for all the members to vote, Model 1, Model 2. Before we put whatever model you choose, not me, not this board, what you choose as a membership into that long-term, long-range planning. And I call it long-range because I formulated it out of the 2017 utilization committee and the things that were done in 2020 and tried to put the two together in order to get this done quickly, okay? And try to get in line for monies, because the rec center is now saying they're going to be expending a lot of these monies instead of clubs having to do it. But they do it based on need, not aesthetics. So, given all that, if we don't have this put together, as soon as we get let me step back for a minute, I'm sorry. So as soon as we would get the information from the rec center regarding the cost on let's say the 2021 monitor station versus the 2020, and an update version of the cost on the 2020, because we all know what costs are doing right now. They're leaping. And so we need them all together. Then you can see what you want to do with the plan. We'll put them into the long-range plan and present it to the rec center. Yes, ma'am.
My understanding is that the issue of the tax status that put this on the table to begin with, has the issue of the tax status that put the initial monitor station on the table has not been resolved by the rec center, and it won't be for, who knows, maybe several months until the new rec board comes in, 'cause they have to do the RRPs over and everything. So I don't understand why, and therefore, no new plans can be even considered until all this stuff is resolved. So I guess I don't understand why we need to take it off the table and why.
Well, I'm not sure that's a correct statement. And the reason I say that, Michelle, is the rec news just this week came out, and they are stating they've satisfied it. They have come to clubs like ours, which is a 501c7, and said the way you can do this and remain a 501c7, which is a social club, is not to sell product through the club.
Right.
And we're gonna talk about that a little bit later, so, but rather than go into a lot of length, my understanding is, according to this article, that this has been satisfied. Now, what has not been satisfied, in my mind, is what the past ramifications may be for the club. I don't know that. But they've also stated that to become a 501c4, which a lot of clubs thought they would like to do, the IRS has stated they're not doing this in any group functions at this time. Now, let me toss this back to Phil for a minute, because I don't want to misrepresent what the rec center, what I understand has been printed in the newspaper and what the rec center is saying. Phil, do you have any comments you want to make?
No, I think it is all right now very confusing, and Mr. Schwinn, if you have any questions, feel free to email him. He's kind of the guru. I don't want to tell you something that may or may not be accurate. He knows it inside out and back.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I don't deal with complaints.
Yeah.
I really don't.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I ask you a question? It's kind of a newbie and I don't understand exactly. We've got one proposed and then there's another one proposed.
Mhm.
Have we all seen what the second one is?
No, we have not, and let me tell you why we've not. There is one that is posted in the room in there.
Yes.
But it has not been officially presented to the membership, because the protocol with the rec center is, once a board decides to present the plan to the rec center, they file a CR13, it's called a CR13, which is a very broad-based paintbrush of what the project is. It goes to the rec center, they then put a pencil to it and give us a calculation of cost, give us some drawings, and we've done some of this in 2017 and it was done. So we have some drawings that have probably already made up, but they do then present us with costs. And at that time, then it comes back to the president, to me,
Okay.
and I share it with the board immediately. The board then decides whether this is an up or down project. We turn it down, we don't even bring it to the membership.
Okay.
The board says, let's try it, let's go with it. We bring it to the membership at that time, and we show you the total plan and the total cost. And then the membership votes whether or not the plan is going to be presented to the rec center. Now, we can do that all electronically, but you're right, we haven't had a lot of discussion. There was a discussion in the July 2nd meeting, and that there is a video that's available on there that was put together by Merle, and I know that many of you have viewed it, but you're right, you've not really seen it, except there's a very rough drawing of it.
Okay, so is there a large difference? Have you already gotten the cost presented by
No.
the?
That's what we're waiting
None of that's what, okay.
We're in a waiting point at this time.
But do we know how much the first one is gonna cost versus what we propose the second one will cost? And why are we not going with the
No,
first
that's
one
not-
versus the second? I guess that's why we Why are we coming up with another plan when we had one in place that would be ready
I think that's a very valid
to
question.
go in September? I guess I am not understanding, I'm sorry.
Well, there was one for, the original, monitor station was proposed with the clay storage up front, in the front. And
Okay.
it was proposed last year. And it was to come up for vote. And the week that we were gonna do it, the week following, when all this news broke about the tax status, we didn't know how much that was gonna cost us. And then they came out with the announcement, well, the rec center's gonna fund this, and all that good stuff that happened that week. And that's why we put it on the table and we tabled the discussion that given day. There was going to be an electronic vote that week, of whether we were gonna take that monitor station or no monitor station. So when I went back and worked on the plans that has been put together here, and I talked to 3 past presidents, I talked to Barb Sloan, I talked to Rob Upton, I talked to Joe Fernandez about these plans, I visited with Lee because he had done all the work on the direction. Now, I got input from each one of them, tried to work that into the plan as I did that, and so this wasn't a me by myself type of deal.
Oh, no,
And I
no, no.
worked with some past board members. So, we put the plan together and said, well, because one of the big things in 2017 was that they were gonna put the clay in that back room, but we have to secure it. So that's all part of this. So we pulled the station apart, and that's why the proposal is the way it is.
The second
Now,
one.
yes, so now we need to decide as a club, will you prefer the big one? The one with, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that, that's not a good terminology. Do we consider the current presented one for 2020, or do we look at a proposal for 2021 and decide between the two what's best long-term? Does that answer your question?
I think so. I guess is why are we not voting on whether we like that one or not? Why are we having to go with a second one?
Because there's a second proposal in the plan of the 5-year that has been already approved by this board.
Okay.
To present to the rec center.
Okay.
If the club decides. But in my mind, we will not go forward with either station until the club votes between the two.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Betty?
I just wanna get this clear. It's my understanding that our motion, that it needs to be made, is that we take the table, or the one that was put on the table at that meeting, last meeting, on the table, take it off the table, put it beside the present one, and in your next electronic vote, you will vote on one or the other. I understand that you have to take it off the table before you can have a vote.
That's correct.
That's all there is to it. We either.
Well, there's
Has motion been made?
there's a motion that's been made not to take it off the table.
I make a motion. Oh,
Wait,
then
you
we have to vote on
you
it.
can't do that.
Okay.
We have to take a vote on the motion that's on the floor. Is there any
Does
other?
everybody understand it's just a one item idea? That's all it is.
Yeah,
Take it
Debbie.
off the table. That's right.
Judy, in answer to your question, you asked if we had costs. We did have costs for the 2020 monitor station proposal, and at that time, it was about $23,000.
Okay.
So that's what that one is.
Excuse me,
No,
please, one
Judy
person.
asked a question that was not addressed.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions, comments? Okay, yes,
I
ma'am.
have one question. I know that the reason you came up with the proposal was there was clay walking out the door without being paid for. Is that still the cost?
Well,
That's what they said, that there was clay that was not being paid for.
yeah,
That was a
Is
projected,
that was a projected cost.
if somebody
We're kinda
took a
getting
box.
off track here. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm just wondering if we still need this.
Well,
A second choice.
there, I would say we need to secure the clay somehow, just from past history. We did not have near the loss that was projected, we don't think, because that was a projection off of the person that made the projection said, if you lost a box of clay a month, and in a year, that's $288, and in 10 years, you would lose $3,000. That's what it was, and then he clarified that for me, but we need to get back on track here, please. Yes, sir.
I just want to make it clear, if I understand correctly, a yes vote would we keep it on the table.
Yes,
And
and
the no vote will allow us to move ahead.
that's correct.
Thank you.
Well, let's vote.
All right, yes, sir, Bill, or Lee.
That's okay. Well, I think it's worth noting that, when Mary Ann made the, motion back in April to table this, there was another option available. She could have made a motion to deny the proposal for the first monitor station. But that wasn't what happened. And what that means to me is there were enough people interested in that first plan to keep it alive until we got further information about our tax status and such, where we knew what we were dealing with and could vote responsibly.
Wait a minute. Lee?
Go up to the mic.
He's bringing the mic. Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I should have.
I should walk around with a bullhorn. Okay, take it.
Too close.
Take it down.
Okay, can you hear me okay now and back?
Yes.
All right, great.
Quick recap. When the vote was made to go ahead, the light's on.
Well, this one, let me turn this one off then. Okay, now try it.
Okay, I guess that's the issue. Okay. When the motion was made to table the first monitor station proposal, there was another option that was available, and that was, it could have been denied. And the fact that it was tabled so that until we got further information about taxes and such, so that we could evaluate the first station on the basis of some real knowledge and make some responsible decisions. You know, the fact that we didn't deny it, but we decided to table it, tells me that there are enough people that were interested in that proposal to carry it on until we got the information we needed. We still haven't gotten that, as you've heard. And I don't think that timing is a big issue, as big an issue here as knowing what we're voting for. Not just with this first proposal, but the second plan, which hasn't gone through the same vetting process that the first one did. The first one had 2 weeks of questions that people could ask. It had 2 weeks for the group to go ahead and answer those questions. It had a response much like we're having today that was videotaped, where things could be handled face to face. And I don't think we should be voting or considering the second plan, the 3-year plan, until we have the information we need to know really what we're getting. I could talk about that more because I spent a day looking at those drawings, but I'm going to not do that now. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee.
I just want to remind everybody, I loved your guys' plan and I was all for it. I mean, it's beautiful. When we were talking to some of the members, the main problem with that was nobody wanted to, as a monitor, to have to lift the clay. So we were gonna have to bring a cart behind the counter and lift it. Anyway, that's why we listened to you guys and made this other plan so that we could have the clay in the back and the monitor would not have to be up there and lift all this heavy clay from when everybody was buying it. So that's why we went into the second proposal.
I'm gonna call for a question on this right now, and we need a vote, because then we can, if we need to move forward one way or the other. The motion on the floor is to keep the tabled motion on the table, to keep the discussion open, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody have any questions on that? All in favor of keeping it on the table and keeping it open, say aye.
Aye.
Will you stand, please? Well, 13? Do I see 13? Do you see 13? 10, 11, 12. Is it 12 or 13? Oh, I've got one more. 13. Okay, thank you. So it's 13. All those in favor of not keeping it on the table, stand, please. And I need a count. Yes. Can we, I need a count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, It were passed a majority here, so the motion fails. Now, I still need a motion on the floor made to pull the item from the table. Pam?
I move to pull the motion from the table, I move to pull the motion from the table made at the April 8th, 2021 general membership meeting. The motion to table the discussion regarding the monitor
I move to pull the motion from the table made at our April 8th, 2021 general membership meeting. The motion to table the discussion regarding the monitor station.
I'll second it.
Who was that?
Motion has been made and seconded that we move the motion that is on the table, off the table, so that we can move forward with discussion. And that was the motion that was made during the April 8th meeting, 2021, at the general meeting. Now we can have another discussion if we'd like. No questions? No answers? Okay.
I do have another question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, since we are gonna go now forward with the two proposals, when will we see that proposal?
When we have the details from the rec center. We do not have, if we had them,
That's going
we
now.
we're asking them, the rec center is waiting for us to move this off the
Okay.
table
All
in
right.
order for them to move ahead.
And
That's
then
what I
we will
was,
get this, and this is what you're hoping to
Yes.
have ready before
And-
September 1st.
right.
See, I listen.
We know that.
I listen.
Okay, and I am committed to this organization that we will try to vent this as best we can and get the information out the best way we can, because you're right, Lee, we need to know what we're buying or what we're getting to have built in our facility, because it's a long-term commitment. And I
Okay.
appreciate that. Yes, Debbie?
I would like to know who was on your committee that did this plan.
I did it. I will tell you, I personally did it, and I put it together, but I talked to three
You
prior.
talked.
I visited with them, walked through with each one of them in the shop, or in the club, so I could see what I was talking about. And but I began with the 2017 utilization results from that committee in 2017, when they came to us and said, let's expand the back patio, let's extend the roof, let's be able to use that back patio. They also had in that we would move fence in the clay at that point. That was a consideration at that point too. And then I also took into consideration all the things that were in the 2020 model. And just locating the clay from there, but moving it to a 9x12, it takes it out to the center of that window, to the bar of the window, and it makes it about 6.5 inches wider. And we would change the entryway to the club to that door in the middle, because we would make
You don't have to explain
well, I'm just trying to tell you what I did and how I did it, because I tried to consider all the issues that were on the table, Debbie. So, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I'm curious as to why we've got architects and we've got engineers.
Can't hear you.
Sorry. I'm curious as to why with architects and engineers in this club, why there wasn't a committee put together with those people who had more knowledge that I would imagine that you had, because you're not an engineer.
And I
to be able
appreciate
to
that.
come up with that second plan.
I did it strictly to try to get this before a major plan before September 1st, so that we could be doing something before 23-24, or in the year 23-24. Need to understand, as we go through this process, if we're completely approved by the rec center to move ahead, we will have opportunities as we go along to fine tune it. We will have opportunities to make sure we're getting the right drawers, we're getting the right things. But I tried to use the existing plans, and I did it. So, and I knew if we put a committee together, it was gonna take us longer, thank you. I'm sorry. Okay, with that, yes, ma'am.
Is the, excuse me, is the object of looking at the second plan, was part of it to bring the price down?
Yes,
No.
yes, yes, it was.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it
Okay.
was. And we don't know whether we're gonna be asked to pay for this or not. So, I mean, that all comes back to you. I'm gonna call a question and raise a vote, okay? Motion on the floor is that we remove the tabled motion from the April 8th meeting regarding the discussion of the monitor station off the table. No, you voted whether or not we were gonna keep it open. We have to vote to close it now and move it off the table. And this was to be a simple issue, and it never is when it's Robert's Rules of Order. I have a nice book, but anyway, do you understand the motion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Wait, I'm an aye.
Okay. Unless you question it, I say that the motion carried and the motion has been moved off the table and we can move forward. Okay, thank you. Thank you for your time. Let's move on here real quick. There is a sheet on the table that I do want to go through. No, I don't want to do that yet. I'm sorry. The tax status of the social club, 501c7 at this time. We are still waiting, in my opinion, to hear any other opportunities that might be there. But as far as the rec center is concerned, if we remain a 501c7, we will not have sales that are sponsored by the club. And we will, if there comes it looks like there's any other options for us to consider, then I think we'll need to step back as a club and say, do you want to be something else? Do you want to go apply? There are like 27 different charities that you can be nonprofit. And there are some clubs in this town who go into a 501c3, but you very much have to support charity with a percentage of your income and whatnot, so that's where we are on that. Future clubs sponsored sales. It's become very clear to me that we cannot support sales. However, and we are on the books for a pop party, but I don't think we'll ever see another event like our pop parties in the past. We won't, because we always took the sales for the club. We cannot do that and remain a 501c7 as a social club. So therefore, I'm just kind of a heads up. My understanding is the rec center is working on a fall fair where they will be selling individual tables or venues for people to sell. Which is kind of confusing. I gotta tell you, I've got a lot of members saying, wait a minute, you're telling me as a 501c7 you cannot make for profit, but yet somebody's providing me a venue to sell it. And therein lies, in my opinion, why the club has to say we absolutely do not want to be involved in sales if we're going to maintain our 501c7. So this is all going to have to come out, and we're not making a decision on any of this today. I'm just trying to update you. Is there any questions on that? It's clear as mud, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, okay. And there are some new RRMPs coming out this fall that may help clarify. I believe there's going to be some stipulations in there for clubs to figure out a way to make sure we don't have people making pottery for profit. And we'll just have to discuss that as a club, how you want to do that. So, okay, moving on to new business, the 3-year plan. There is a 3-year plan that's been proposed. I am not presenting that today because it has not been vetted through the rec center. As soon as it is, it will come back to you. But my commitment to you is every step of the way, when we go to choose between the monitor stations, it will be your choice. Once we have picked the monitor station we want, we'll put it in the plan, and then it will be your choice again whether or not we move forward with this plan, because by that time we will know the potential cost. And I think the rec center will be very cognizant of the fact that there are going to be some clubs that, they may have a way to pay for something or not, or if it's need versus want, that kind of thing. So that'll all be considered as we move forward, but you'll be considered. And anytime as they fine tune this, the president of the club would have to stay within the bylaws of what we can expend without going back to the membership. In other words, our current bylaws are $1,000 limit, so anything that looks like an expenditure over $1,000 would come back to the membership, okay? Finally, the rec center would conduct these votes for us electronically so that we can get all the memberships involved, all 300 plus members that we have today, not just a few. One last thing before we close. On a general comment, we were notified this week that there's another club here in Beardsley that has a COVID case that's been reported. Now, I'm saying this to you. My question was, is the rec center gonna go back to mask? I've been advised that they will pretty much stay with state standards. So, I would just encourage you, until we hear any other instructions from the rec center, use your own good judgment. You make up your mind if you wanna wear a mask, you make up your mind if you wanna come to the club, and there are many days when Dick Lee is available, that's area for people to kind of spread out if you'd like a little bit better. We cannot do anything other than that. I will tell you that we will always commit to the protocols that the rec center gives us, and that is if we get notified that there is a case in our club, you will be immediately notified through our email system that Shauna does, and we will give you as much up-to-date information as we can, okay? And I would just say, you know, be careful, but if you test positive, you gotta let me know.
Oh, God.
You know, yes, sir.
Do you know which club it was that this case is?
Yes, it was the Copper Glass Club, and that's all the information I can give you. Okay? And we do have some members that trade over between those two clubs.
Yeah, we do.
And that's why I think it's important that you all know that. Are there any other general comments anybody like to make? Sue, you wanna come up here? Please.
Margie, I appreciate what you've done as a board and as your individual self. I'm glad to be given an opportunity. I didn't realize the controversy over monitor station, but I'm glad to have an opportunity to look at two different. I appreciate the opportunity to look over two different plans instead of this is what we wanna do, you know, which is fine, they worked on that, but I like to see two plans presented to me, so I thank you, Marty, for doing that.
Thank you.
This is off topic, but tomorrow is our last Friday of July blast. We're having cheesecake at 1 o'clock at the studio. So please come and enjoy the cheesecake and dress cheesy or do something cheesy. I have no idea what I even mean by that, so use your imagination. And then a couple other things, Joanne Morris is gonna continue on the tradition of the last Friday of August and September, is that correct?
Yes.
Donuts, 10 o'clock.
Friday, we're gonna call it
Social Friday, 10 o'clock, coffee and donuts.
Last
So,
Friday.
the last Friday, and it'll be posted, we'll get information out. And then also Oktoberfest, happy hour. Please start thinking about a cool, beer stein. Start making funny beer steins. We're gonna have a beer stein contest, so, to drink your beer. So, those are things that are coming up. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Last thing is, the next general meeting will be September the 9th, okay? That's a regularly scheduled meeting, and I thank you very much for coming out and being a part of this discussion today. It's never easy, but we gotta do it right. So thank you all very much and have a great day. Oh, I need an adjourn, I do need a motion to adjourn.
Judy said, I motion to adjourn.
And a second. Sure, thank you very much.
I'm Judy Savage.
I'm sorry.